Welcome back to HOA Spot. The group chat loved her story until the proof dropped. Karen shoved a delivery receipt sleeve at me, yelling that I would pay the replacement cost and an admin fee. "You are going to stop acting like a victim," she snapped, jabbing her finger at the plastic sleeve like it was a smoking gun. I stared at the clear clipboard in her hand, a date box highlighted in yellow marker, the rest of the form blank except for a scrawled signature I could not read. This was my Tuesday afternoon in Mesa, Arizona, standing on my own driveway at Desert Palms Community Association, while Allison Drake, board president, accused me of stealing a contractor deposit envelope from the clubhouse storage closet. I work as a paramedic, 12-hour shifts that leave me too tired to fight with neighbors, but here I was. The envelope she claimed I stole had been missing since Friday. I found out Monday morning when I filed a complaint about selective enforcement. Karen ignoring 3 expired guest permits in her own building while threatening to tow mine. Tuesday afternoon, she showed up at my door with this accusation and a rolling cart loaded with binders labeled by color only, no text, just red tabs and blue tabs and green tabs, like some kind of bureaucratic rainbow. She waved the clipboard again. "I have a process, and you will follow it," she said, her voice rising. Someone posted a blurry clip, and Karen insisted it was me without letting anyone zoom. The clip was from a doorbell camera across the hall from the storage closet, timestamp smudged, figure in a hoodie reaching for the door handle. Could have been anyone. Could have been her. She refused to let me see the full file, just held her phone at arm's length, screen tilted away, playing a 3-second loop that proved nothing. I asked to zoom the clip. She pulled the phone back like I had threatened her. "This is already on record," she said, tapping the clipboard. "I printed the violation notice this morning. The accusation is filed. You can appeal, but you will pay the replacement cost and the admin fee first. $340. Due by Friday or I suspend your delivery privileges and flag your unit for towing enforcement." I felt my jaw tighten. I did not take anything. She smiled, cold and thin. "Everyone agrees with me. I have messages." That line, delivered with such smug certainty, felt like a slap. I asked who everyone was. She did not answer, just pivoted to her next threat. "The hearing notice is already posted. You have 72 hours to submit your appeal in writing through the portal." I asked what portal. She blinked, annoyed. "The resident portal." I told her I had been locked out since Monday. She shrugged. "That is a separate issue. I have a process and you will follow it." I pulled out my phone and started recording. She immediately pointed at the camera lens. "That is proof," she said, like the act of filming was itself an admission. "Proof of what?" I asked. She did not clarify, just turned and walked back to her cart, yanking a laminated policy sheet from one of the binders and waving it without letting me read it. "This covers unauthorized recordings of board officials during enforcement actions." I asked her to show me the text. She tucked it back into the binder. "You can request a copy through the portal." The portal I could not access. The hearing I had 72 hours to appeal. The fee I had to pay before I could appeal. The evidence she would not let me examine. I felt the rules tightening like a noose, every step designed to make compliance impossible. She started pushing her cart toward the street. "The management office has a walk-in cutoff in 30 minutes, she said over her shoulder. "If you want to contest this, you need to be there before 5. It was 4:32. The office was a 15-minute drive. I grabbed my keys and my gray beanie and followed her to my car. But she was already standing beside it, holding a roll of parking decal stickers, bright yellow with black stripes. She peeled one off and moved to slap it on my windshield. I stepped between her and the glass, phone still recording. She froze, sticker in hand, face flushing red. "You are interfering with enforcement," she said. I told her I was preventing vandalism. She laughed, sharp and bitter. "This is HOA property. I can decal any vehicle in violation." I asked what violation. She pointed at the clipboard still tucked under her arm. "Theft, pending investigation." I told her the investigation was 30 seconds of blurry footage she refused to share. She shrugged and turned away, taking the sticker with her but leaving the threat hanging. I got in my car and drove to the management office, hands tight on the wheel, mind racing. The story did not add up. The envelope had been in the storage closet Friday morning when I checked the clubhouse schedule. By Friday night, it was gone, along with 2 boxes of cleaning supplies and a cordless drill. I filed a complaint Monday about the missing items and the selective enforcement I had been dealing with for weeks. Tuesday morning, Karen showed up with an accusation and a printed notice. 12 hours from complaint to accusation. That was not investigation time. That was retaliation time. I pulled into the management office lot at 4:47. The lobby was empty except for a receptionist behind a plexiglass window, typing on a keyboard, expression neutral and tired. I approached the window and explained the situation. Portal lockout, accusation, appeal deadline, no evidence access. She listened, nodded, pulled up my account. "Your portal access was suspended Monday at 2 p.m., she said. "Reason listed as administrative hold pending investigation." I asked who requested the hold. She checked the log. Board president. I felt my stomach drop. Karen had locked me out the same day I filed the complaint, hours before she accused me of theft. The receptionist printed a portal access request form and slid it through the slot. "You can submit this and we will review it within 5 business days." I asked if I could get a temporary code to file my appeal. She shook her head. "Only permanent residents with active accounts can use the portal. You will need to submit your appeal by physical mail or in-person drop-off." I asked about the drop-off. She pointed to a metal box on the wall beside the door, locked, no slot. "That is cleared once a week on Fridays." It was Tuesday. The hearing was Friday. I asked to speak to a manager. She glanced toward a closed door behind her. "He is in a meeting." I asked when he would be available. She checked a calendar. "He has walk-ins Thursday morning from 9 to 11. I told her the hearing was Friday. She gave me a look that said she had heard this before and it never ended well. "You can try calling tomorrow." I took the form and walked out, brain spinning. I needed to prove I did not steal the envelope, which meant I needed evidence Karen would not provide, and a process designed to block me at every turn. But I had something she did not expect. I had a neighbor with a better camera angle who was tired of Karen. His name was Vince, lived 2 units down, retired postal worker with a doorbell camera aimed at the mailbox cluster and a sightline that covered the clubhouse side entrance. I knocked on his door that night and explained what was happening. He nodded slowly, pulled up his camera app, scrolled back to Friday evening. "Got something," he said, turning the phone toward me. The footage showed the storage closet door opening at 6:14 p.m. A figure in a blue rain jacket and a chin-length red bob stepped out holding a white envelope and a small cardboard box. The figure glanced left, glanced right, walked quickly toward the parking lot. No hoodie, no beanie, no me. I asked Vince if he would send me the file. He already had it ready, texted it to me while I stood there. "You are not the first person she has done this to," he said. "Last year she accused a guy of dumping trash in the pool area. Turned out it was her own contractor cleaning out a unit and leaving bags by the dumpster. She never apologized, just said the complaint process worked as intended. I thanked him and headed home, footage saved, timeline building. Wednesday morning, I called the management office and got voicemail. I called again at noon. Voicemail. I called at 3 and got the receptionist. She told me the manager was still unavailable, but she could take a message. I explained the situation again, mentioned the footage, asked if they could verify the accusation timeline. She said she would pass it along. Thursday morning, I showed up at 9 for walk-in hours. The manager was there, mid-50s, gray suit, expression somewhere between annoyed and defensive. I laid out the timeline. Complaint filed Monday, portal locked Monday, accusation filed Tuesday, hearing scheduled Friday, evidence withheld. He listened, fingers drumming on the desk. The board has discretion over enforcement investigations, he said. If you have evidence, you can present it at the hearing. I told him I could not access the portal to submit the evidence. He frowned. That is a technical issue. I will look into it. I asked when. He glanced at his computer. I can escalate it today. You should have access by tomorrow. Tomorrow was Friday. The hearing was Friday at 4 p.m. I asked if he could unlock it now. He shook his head. I do not have override access. It has to go through IT. I felt the goalposts move again. I asked if I could submit evidence in person. He nodded slowly. You can bring it to the hearing. I asked if the board had access to the full doorbell footage. He hesitated. I would need to check with the board president. I told him the board president was the one making the accusation. He gave me a look that said he knew exactly what kind of mess this was, but had no intention of stepping into it. All I can do is forward your concerns to the board. I left the office and drove to the clubhouse. The storage closet was locked, access card required, same system as the mailboxes. I swiped my card. Red light. Access denied. I tried again. Red light. I pulled out my phone and called the office. Receptionist answered. I explained the lockout. She checked my account. Your access was restricted Tuesday morning. Reason listed as pending investigation. I asked who authorized it. Board president. Every move I made, Karen had already blocked. Every appeal required access she had already revoked. Every deadline designed to run out before I could comply. But she made one mistake. She told me the envelope contained a contractor deposit. She told me the amount. $340. She told me it was missing Friday, and she told me I would pay the replacement cost. But I never mentioned the envelope to her. I only filed a complaint about missing cleaning supplies and a drill. The envelope was never on my list. So, how did she know about it? I sat in my car and pulled up the footage Vince sent me, watched it again. The figure in the blue rain jacket holding the white envelope, the glance left and right, the quick walk toward the parking lot. I zoomed the frame. The envelope had a return address label, top left corner, too blurry to read but visible enough to confirm it was official mail. Contractor deposit, exactly what Karen described. She knew because she took it. I screenshotted the timestamp, 6:14 p.m. Friday. Then I pulled up my own records. I was on shift Friday until 8 p.m., logged in at the station, dispatch records time-stamped every call. I could prove I was not at the clubhouse. I could prove Karen was. Friday morning, I compiled everything into a binder, Vince's footage, my shift log, the portal lockout timeline, the access denial record, the complaint I filed Monday, the violation notice Karen printed Tuesday. I printed it all, labeled it with colored tabs, red for timeline, blue for evidence, green for access denials. I put the binder in my car and drove to the clubhouse at 3:45, 15 minutes before the hearing. The hearing room was a small conference space off the main clubhouse lobby, folding table, 6 chairs, a projector screen on one wall. Karen was already there with her rolling cart, binders lined up, folder organizer on the table, laminated policy sheets fanned out like playing cards. 2 other board members sat beside her, both older, both looking like they wanted to be anywhere else. I walked in and set my binder on the table. Karen glanced at it and frowned. "You cannot submit new evidence at the hearing," she said. "Appeals must be filed through the portal 72 hours in advance." I reminded her I had been locked out of the portal. She shrugged. "That is a separate issue. I have a process, and you will follow it." The other board members shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a man in his 60s with a polo shirt and reading glasses, cleared his throat. "Can we at least hear what he has to say?" Karen shot him a look. "The process is clear. If he could not access the portal, he should have submitted by mail." I pointed out that mail drop-off was once a week and the box was locked. Karen waved a hand dismissively. "That is not my problem." If you are enjoying this chaos, hit that subscribe button because it is about to get even wilder. The other board member, a woman with short gray hair and a tired expression, leaned forward. "Allison, if he was locked out and could not submit, maybe we should allow him to present his case." Karen's face went red. "The rules are the rules. If we start making exceptions, the whole system falls apart." I opened my binder and pulled out the first page. "This is a timeline," I said. "Monday I filed a complaint about selective enforcement. Monday at 2 p.m. my portal access was suspended by you. Tuesday you accused me of theft. Tuesday morning you restricted my clubhouse access. Wednesday I requested a meeting with management. Thursday I was told IT would restore my access by today. Today, I still have no access. Every step I tried to take, you blocked." Karen slammed her hand on the table. "You are twisting this to make yourself look like a victim. The facts are simple. Someone stole a contractor deposit envelope. You were seen on camera. You have a history of complaints." I asked her to show the camera footage. She pulled out her phone, played the 3-second loop, same angle, same blurry figure in a hoodie. I asked her to zoom it. She refused. I asked her to show the timestamp. She tilted the phone away. I asked her to send the file to the board so they could review it. She locked her phone and set it face down on the table. "This is my evidence, and I am presenting it my way." The man in the polo shirt frowned. "Allison, we need to be able to verify this. If you have the file, share it with us." Karen crossed her arms. "I do not have to share my personal property with anyone. This is board business, and I am handling it according to policy." I pulled out the second page from my binder. "This is footage from a neighbor's doorbell camera," I said, sliding a printed screenshot across the table. "Friday at 6:14 p.m. The storage closet door. A person in a blue rain jacket and red hair carrying a white envelope and a cardboard box. The timestamp is clear. The face is visible. It is not me." Karen lunged forward and grabbed the screenshot, crumpling it in her fist. "This is fabricated," she snapped. "You are making this up to avoid responsibility." I told her the file was time-stamped and verified. She threw the crumpled paper back at me. "I do not care." "You are not allowed to present evidence that was not submitted through the proper channels." The woman with gray hair stood up. "Allison, sit down. We need to see this." Karen ignored her, turning to me, voice rising. "I have a process, and you will follow it. You missed the deadline. Your appeal is invalid. You will pay the fee, or I will suspend your delivery privileges and escalate enforcement." I pulled out the third page. "This is my shift log from Friday," I said. I was on duty from noon until 8 p.m., logged in at the station. Dispatch records confirm every call. I was not at the clubhouse. I could not have taken the envelope. Karen slammed her folder organizer shut. Your appeal is invalid because it is missing a step I invented, she said, then froze, realizing what she just admitted. The room went silent. The man in the polo shirt blinked. What step? Karen backpedaled. I mean a step that is required. The authentication form. You did not submit an authentication form with your evidence. I asked what authentication form. She rifled through her binders, pulling out a blank sheet with a footer that read Desert Palms Community Association Evidence Authentication Request. You need this notarized and submitted with any evidence. I pointed out that she never mentioned this form before. She waved it like a flag. It is in the policy manual, page 87. I asked if I could see the manual. She snapped the binder shut. You can request a copy through the portal. The woman with gray hair stood up and walked around the table, taking the authentication form from Karen's hand. This form is dated last week, she said, checking the footer. You created this after he filed his complaint. Karen snatched it back. That is irrelevant. The policy is the policy. The man in the polo shirt shook his head. Allison, this is not how we do things. If you have concerns about the evidence, we can review it together, but you cannot keep changing the requirements. Karen turned on him. Everyone agrees with me. I have messages. Prove it, he said. Show us the messages. Karen pulled out her phone, scrolled, hesitated. I have them, she said, but they are private communications. I do not have to disclose them. The woman with gray hair crossed her arms. Then you do not have them. Karen's face flushed darker. You are undermining my authority. I am the board president. I have the right to conduct investigations as I see fit. The man in the polo shirt shook his head. Not like this. We are done here. This hearing is over. He turned to me. Bring your evidence to the management office tomorrow. We will review it and issue a decision within 10 days. Karen stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. You cannot overrule me. I set the process. I issued the notice. The woman with gray hair picked up her purse. Allison, go home. You are making this worse. Karen grabbed her rolling cart and shoved it toward the door, binders rattling. This is not over, she said, voice shaking. I will escalate this. I will file a formal complaint. I will bring this to a full board vote. The man in the polo shirt sighed. Do what you need to do, but this investigation is closed. Karen stormed out, cartwheels screeching on the tile floor. I packed my binder and walked back to my car, hands shaking from adrenaline but mind clear. The hearing was a disaster for her, but I knew she was not done. She said escalation. She meant retaliation. I drove home and checked my mailbox. Inside was a new notice, printed on HOA letterhead, dated that afternoon. Subject: Delivery Privilege Suspension. Effective immediately, all package deliveries to your unit are suspended pending resolution of the theft investigation. Contact the board president to arrange alternative delivery. I took a photo of the notice and texted it to Vince. He replied within minutes. She is trying to starve you out. Do not let her. I asked him what he meant. He called me. She did this to the trash guy last year, he said. Suspended his access, blocked his appeals, made his life hell until he moved out. She wants you gone. Do not give her the satisfaction. I asked what he suggested. He told me to file a police report, make it official, get an incident number, use it as leverage. Saturday morning, I drove to the Mesa Police Department substation and filed a report. Theft of contractor property, value $340, suspect identified on doorbell footage. The officer took my statement, reviewed the footage Vince sent, wrote up an incident report. He told me it was a civil matter and unlikely to result in charges, but the report was on file and I could request a copy for my records. I asked for the incident number. He wrote it on a card and handed it to me. Use this if you need to escalate with your HOA or insurance. I drove back to Desert Palms and went straight to the management office. The receptionist was behind the plexiglass, same tired expression. I slid the incident card through the slot. I need to file a formal complaint against the board president, I said. Theft, harassment, retaliation, and interference with delivery services. She took the card, read it, looked up at me with something close to respect. I will forward this to the manager. He will contact you within 48 hours. Monday morning, I got a call from the manager. We reviewed your evidence and the police report, he said. The board has voted to retract the theft accusation. Your portal access and clubhouse access have been restored. The delivery suspension has been lifted. I asked about the fee. He hesitated. The board is issuing a full refund of any fees charged during the investigation. I asked about Karen. He cleared his throat. The board president has been asked to step back from enforcement actions pending a review of her conduct. That is all I can say at this time. I asked if I would receive anything in writing. He said yes, a formal letter would be mailed within 3 days. I thanked him and hung up, feeling the first real breath of relief in a week. But I wanted more than a retraction. I wanted Karen to feel the same wall she had built around me. Tuesday afternoon, I was sitting on my front porch when Karen showed up, rolling cart in tow, folder organizer under one arm, face tight with barely controlled rage. She marched up my walkway and stopped 3 feet from my door. You think you won, she said. You did not. I have messages. I have support. This is not over. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recorder. Say that again, I said. She froze, eyes flicking to the phone, then back to me. You are not allowed to record me. I told her I was on my own property, and she was trespassing. She stepped back, flustered. I am conducting HOA business. I told her the HOA retracted the accusation, and she was no longer authorized to enforce anything related to my unit. She pulled a clear sleeve clipboard from her cart, same highlighted date box, same blank form. This is a new complaint, she said. Unauthorized use of common area walkways. I asked what that meant. She pointed at my walkway. You have a decorative planter that extends 6 inches past the property line. That is a violation. I am issuing a notice. I looked at the planter, a small terracotta pot with a succulent, placed exactly where it had been for 2 years. I asked her to show me the property line survey. She waved the clipboard. I do not need a survey. I know the rules. I called Vince. He answered on the second ring. I told him what was happening. He said he would be right over. 2 minutes later, he walked up, phone in hand, camera rolling. Karen turned to him, face going red. This is a private enforcement action. Vince smiled. This is a public sidewalk, and I am documenting harassment. Karen pointed at his phone. That is proof, she said, using her same nonsense line. Proof that you are abusing your position, Vince said calmly. I have 3 years of footage showing you targeting residents who complain. Want me to send it to the board? Karen stepped back, gripping her clipboard like a shield. You are all conspiring against me, she said, voice rising. I have a process, and you will follow it. Vince shook his head. Your process is retaliation, and it is over. Karen tried to pull a laminated policy sheet from her folder organizer, but it slipped from her hand and fluttered to the ground. She bent to grab it, and her cart tipped, binders spilling across the walkway. She scrambled to gather them, face red, hands shaking. "This is not over," she muttered, shoving papers back into the cart. "I will escalate this. I will file a formal complaint. I will bring this to a vote." I knelt down and picked up one of the binders, holding it out to her. She snatched it from my hand and glared at me. "You think you are so smart," she said. "You think you can just ignore the rules and get away with it." I told her I followed every rule she gave me. She changed them every time. She froze, mouth opening and closing like she was searching for a comeback. Then she grabbed her cart and turned away, wheels rattling as she dragged it back toward the street. Vince watched her go, then looked at me. "She is going to keep trying," he said. "People like her do not stop until someone makes them." I asked him what he meant. He pulled up his phone and showed me a group text thread, 30 residents all sharing stories about Karen. Bogus fines, moving goalposts, access restrictions, harassment. One guy got towed 3 times in a month for expired permits that were not expired. Another woman got fined for holiday lights in February when her neighbor had lights up year-round with no penalty. The thread was full of screenshots, timestamps, receipts. Vince had been collecting evidence for months. I asked him why he had not taken it to the board. He shrugged. "Most people just want to avoid conflict. They pay the fine and move on. But you fought back, and now we have leverage." He forwarded me the thread. "Use it," he said. "File a formal complaint. Get others to file." The board cannot ignore 30 people. I thanked him and went inside, reading through the thread, feeling the weight of all those stories. Karen had been doing this for years, and no one had stopped her because the system was designed to protect her. Wednesday morning, I drafted a formal complaint and sent it to the management office, copying the board. I attached Vince's thread, the police incident number, my timeline, and the footage. I CC'd every email address I could find for board members, management staff, and the property management company that contracted with Desert Palms. Within an hour, I got a reply from the property management company's regional director. "We take these allegations seriously and will be conducting a full review of enforcement procedures at Desert Palms. Thank you for bringing this to our attention." Thursday afternoon, I got another call from the manager. "The board has voted to remove Allison Drake from her role as board president, effective immediately," he said. "She will remain on the board as a member, but will have no enforcement authority." Additionally, the board is issuing a formal apology and a refund of fees that hits the ledger like a slap. I asked what that meant in dollars. He hesitated. $340 plus admin fees plus late fees, she added without authorization. Total refund is $620. It will be credited to your account by end of business today. I thanked him and hung up, feeling a grin spread across my face. $620, more than she tried to extort from me. The refund hit my account that evening, and I checked my HOA ledger online. Balance 0. Notes section updated. Theft accusation retracted. Enforcement actions nullified. Access restored. Formal apology issued. Friday morning, a certified letter arrived from the board. The HOA retracts the accusation in writing and clears the ledger, the letter read, using the exact phrasing the manager had promised. "We apologize for any inconvenience or distress caused by this matter. Please contact the management office if you have any further concerns." Saturday afternoon, I was checking my mail when I saw Karen walking toward the clubhouse. No cart, no folder organizer, no laminated sheets. Just her, in jeans and a plain jacket, looking small and defeated. A staff member met her at the door and held out a hand. Karen pulled a lanyard from her pocket and handed it over. Her badge and props get confiscated by staff, I realized, watching the scene unfold. The staff member said something I could not hear, and Karen nodded, turned and walked back toward her car without looking at anyone. Vince texted me that evening, "Did you see?" I replied that I did. He sent a laughing emoji. "Karma is real." I told him thanks for having my back. He replied, "Anytime. People like her only win if we let them." Monday morning, I was sitting on my porch when a tow truck pulled up to the building across the courtyard. The driver got out, clipboard in hand, and walked toward a car with an expired guest permit sticker. I recognized the car. It belonged to Karen's friend, the one who had been parking there for weeks with no enforcement. The driver checked his paperwork, took a photo of the sticker, and started prepping the tow. A woman came running out, yelling, "That is my car. You cannot tow it." The driver held up his clipboard. "Expired permit. HOA called it in." The woman argued, but the driver refused to move until he saw proper authorization, which matched exactly what Vince had told me about the tow yard policy. The woman called someone, and within minutes Karen showed up. No cart, no props, just her phone and a defeated expression. She tried to argue with the driver, but he pointed at his paperwork. "I have authorization from the management office. If you have a problem, call them." Karen pulled out her phone, dialed, waited. I could hear her voice rising. "This is not right. I am on the board." The driver ignored her. The woman with the expired permit started crying. Karen hung up and turned to the driver. "I will pay the fee, just do not tow it." The driver shook his head. "Authorization is already processed. You will need to pick it up from the yard." I watched from my porch as the car got hooked and lifted, Karen standing helpless on the curb, her friend yelling, neighbors watching from windows and doorways. The tow truck pulled away, and Karen walked back to her car, alone, humiliated. The same enforcement system she weaponized now aimed at her. That night, I got a text from the Property Management Regional Director. "Thank you for your patience during our review. We have implemented new enforcement oversight procedures at Desert Palms to prevent future abuse. If you experience any further issues, please contact me directly." I saved the number and filed it with the rest of my evidence binder, which now sat on my shelf like a trophy. The next HOA board meeting was the following Thursday. I did not attend, but Vince did. He texted me updates throughout. Karen tried to speak during public comment, but got shut down by the new board president. Someone made a motion to formally apologize to all residents targeted by selective enforcement over the past 2 years. The motion passed unanimously. Karen voted against it, alone. The meeting ended with an announcement that the board was hiring an independent management auditor to review all enforcement actions from the past 3 years. Vince sent me a photo of Karen leaving the meeting. No cart, no binders, just her purse and her phone, walking alone to her car while other board members stood in a group talking and laughing. The caption read, "End of an era." I replied with a thumbs up. Then I went outside and checked my mailbox. Inside was a package, delivered without issue, no suspension, no interference, no threats. I carried it inside and set it on my counter, feeling the weight lift. My ability to receive deliveries was no longer at risk because Karen was no longer interfering with my packages. The system she built to control everyone had finally turned on her, and I was the one who made it happen. 2 weeks later, I ran into her at the mailbox cluster. She did not look at me, just opened her box, grabbed her mail, and walked away without a word. No clipboard, no threats, no process, just silence. I unlocked my box and checked my mail. Inside was another certified letter from the board. I opened it. Formal notice that all enforcement actions filed by the previous board president during her tenure are under review. If you believe you were unfairly targeted, please submit a complaint for consideration. Deadline is 60 days from the date of this letter. I folded the letter and tucked it into my pocket. I did not need to file anything. I already won. But I knew 30 other residents who did, and I knew Vince had their backs. The board was about to get flooded with complaints, and every one of them would have timestamps, screenshots, and receipts. Karen's legacy was not going to be enforcement. It was going to be exposure. A month later, the board sent out a community-wide email. After a comprehensive review, the board has identified multiple enforcement violations and procedural failures. All affected residents will receive refunds and formal apologies. The board is committed to fair and transparent enforcement moving forward. The email was signed by the new board president, not Karen. Her name was nowhere on it. I forwarded the email to Vince. He replied, "Justice." I replied, "Took long enough." He sent a laughing emoji. Better late than never. That weekend, I was sitting on my porch when a moving truck pulled up to Karen's building. I watched as movers carried boxes and furniture out, loading them into the truck. Karen stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed, watching them work. She glanced toward my building once, saw me sitting there, and looked away quickly. The truck pulled out an hour later, and her unit went dark. Vince texted me, "She is gone." I replied, "Good." He sent a photo of her empty parking spot. "The curse is lifted," he wrote. I laughed and set my phone down. The curse was not lifted, it just moved on to someone else. But at least it was not aimed at me anymore. I sat on my porch for a while, watching the sun set over the desert, the palm trees swaying in the warm breeze, the community quiet and calm. Desert palms felt different now, lighter. The rolling cart was gone. The laminated sheets were gone. The fake authority and the moving goalposts and the threats were gone. What was left was just a neighborhood, imperfect and messy, but no longer ruled by one person's vindictive process. I went inside and grabbed a beer from the fridge, then came back out and sat down. My phone buzzed. Text from Vince. "Board meeting next week. You should come." I replied, "Maybe." He sent a thumbs up. I set my phone on the armrest and looked out at the quiet street. I did not need to go to the meeting. I did not need to keep fighting. I already did what I needed to do. I cleared my name. I got my refund. I humiliated Karen with proof and watched her lose everything she used to control people. The evidence binder was still on my shelf, and it was going to stay there, not as a weapon, as a reminder. A reminder that the system only works when people fight back. A reminder that moving goalposts and fake processes and selective enforcement only win if you let them. A reminder that sometimes the only way to beat a bully is to outlast them, outwork them, and outdocument them. I finished my beer and went inside. The porch light stayed on, the mailbox was clear, the delivery suspension was lifted, the portal was unlocked, the ledger was clean, and Karen was gone. That was all the closure I needed. More HOA drama soon.